To begin, remove the lug bolts and front rim from the vehicle. Detach the brake and sensor lines from the strut by removing the bolt holding the bracket to the body of the strut. Remove the sway bar end link from the strut by removing the end link bolt. Remove the two nuts and bolts holding the lower portion of the strut to the hub of the vehicle. In order to gain access to the strut's upper mount hardware, you will need to remove the windshield trim. To do so, you will first need to remove the windshield wiper by removing the cover and bolt holding the wiper to the motor. There will be several clips that need to be removed in order for the windshield trim to disconnect completely. Once the trim is unclipped, remove this piece from the engine compartment. Remove the three nuts holding the vehicle's upper mount to the shock tower, and the shock can be removed from the vehicle. Using spring compressors, remove the top nut holding the top mount to the suspension. Once the top mount and bearing are removed from the OEM suspension, place this unit onto the Raceland coilover and tighten the mount to the coilover with the supplied nut. Place the coilover into the shock tower and reinstall the three nuts to hold the coilover to the vehicle. Lift the hub onto the coilover and reinstall the two nuts and bolts to hold the hub to the suspension. Reattach the brake line and sensor line to the coilover bracket with the factory hardware. Reinstall the sway bar end link to the coilover. You can now reinstall the front wheel, and this corner's installation is complete. To begin the rear installation, remove the wheel and lug bolts from the vehicle. Remove the nut and bolt holding the strut to the lower control arm. Detach the sway bar end link from the sway bar. To gain access to the rear suspension upper hardware, it will be required to remove several trunk trim pieces. To start, remove the plastic latch cover and spare tire cover. Next, remove the bolts and screws that hold the side carpet panels and remove the panel from the trunk. Lastly, remove the bolts holding the trim piece covering the strut mount bolts. Remove the three nuts holding the rear upper mount to the shock tower. You can now pull down on the control arm and remove the suspension. Using spring compressors, remove the nut holding the upper mount to the strut. Ensure that the lower supplied washer is on the strut and place the factory top mount onto the Raceland coilover. Place the top supplied washer on top of the mount and tighten the mount to the coilover with the supplied nut. Slide the coilover back into the shock tower and secure to the vehicle by tightening the three factory nuts. Reinstall the nut and bolt holding the strut to the lower control arm. Reattach the sway bar end link to the sway bar and secure the factory hardware. Reinstall all carpet and trim pieces that were removed from the trunk. You can now reinstall the rear wheel, and this corner's installation is complete.